is up, YouTube world? Alright, so I wanted to make a educational video about setting up a saltwater tank, but I keep rambling on and on and on, and it just stretches it out way too far. So basically I'm just going to talk about my saltwater tank, my plans for it and everything, and try to keep it under 15 minutes, and talk about what I think a saltwater tank should run like, or my ideas, or I don't know. But yes, let's just get to it real quick. 40-gallon cube, about 50 pounds of live rock, protein skimmer, reef ready light strip, power heads or wave makers. Eventually it's gonna have a swamp, which I already got the overflow box. I got a cool light, got the hanger, got a pull maker for the wave makers and stuff like that. I got some more rock for the swamp when it's ready. This video is going to be horrible because I'm rushing through it now. So this is my dead rock, and I actually had to go through a curing process. With this dead rock, I actually went ahead and set it all up inside the aquarium. Now when you set up rock with inside the aquarium, always make sure your structure is sitting on the glass, not on the substrate. Because if you have a fish that gets under it and likes to build tunnels and whatnot, and gets under the substrate and it makes a tunnel, it could all collapse and big disaster can happen. You don't want that. So you want to make sure your structure is on the glass, not sitting on top of the substrate. So I went ahead and cured all that, was inside the aquarium for about 3 months. About 2-3 weeks ago, I went to the fish store, brought him water sample. He said, "You're good to go." He gave me some established live rocks, and this one actually has a coral on it. I'm like, wow, it's really, really awesome. That's my very first coral. I think it's mushroom coral. It can hide, like it goes in the crack if there's something there it doesn't like. It's really neat. But yeah, I got these 2 established rocks, which will help establish the rest of the structure. Hell yeah. So when you're working with a saltwater tank, you definitely want 1 pound of rock per gallon of water. So this definitely has more than enough. Also, same principle kind of as the substrate, but because I used more than the pound of rock per gallon of water, this probably has about 50 pounds. It took up a lot of the land, I guess. So there's areas that are a little bit higher, but that's okay, because I'm going to get a shrimp that loves to build tunnels and all this cool stuff, and a goby goes with them. They go together, and it's just going to be awesome. So this will be just fine. Hell yeah. And yeah, so I got about 40 pounds of sand in there, and yeah, I kind of figured out what I was talking about. Anyways, let's go ahead to the light. So this is a green element, and it's the $96 one. And it's only running on half the power. I could make it stronger, but it's good enough, I think, at that. Don't want it too concentrated. Then the protein skimmer is actually going to go hang on the back of the swamp. So it's going to be back here one day when the swamp gets built. And yeah, so let's talk about flow real quick, because we talked about the live rock real fast. You know, you want to sit on the glass, everything. You want a pound per gallon of water, same as the substrate. So let's talk about flow rate within this display, because it's going to be different with a swamp, or a swamp return to the display is slower than the display flow rate with inside the display. You get what I'm saying? So basically, inside your display, the water is going to be moving a lot faster than the return rate from your swamp to your tank. So you always want wave makers. You do need wave makers when it comes to a saltwater tank. We try to keep as much of the equipment outside of the display and inside of the swamp. So this is one reason why that protein skimmer eventually will be put onto the swamp. And the only thing that will be sitting inside the display will be the pumps, of course, and this nice glossy box. So it's going to be really nice and clean looking in there. Everything's black gloss background, and yeah, look real clean. So when you're working with your display flow rate, you want that to be 20 to 25 times turnover rate. So basically, if you have a 40-gallon tank, you want it to turn over anywhere from if you have a 40-gallon tank, you want it to turn over anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 times. 2,000 times is a really high flow rate, but in a saltwater tank, the more flow rate, the better, in a sense. But yeah, anyways, let's not try to, you know, make this fish swim for their lives, you know what I'm saying? It's like crazy wave makers. But yeah, there's different type of corals that require really high currents, but we're not going to go that route. But yeah, so you definitely want to be anywhere from 20 to 25 times. So this tank technically needs to be 1,000 to 2,000 times turnover rate. It is at 1,600 gallons per hour turnover rate. So basically this pump right here runs 24/7 and is at 800 gallons per hour, and it makes really nice waves. Now this is actually, in my opinion, a real wave maker because it's designed to really disperse and really design a wave type deal. These right here are more, in my opinion, like power heads, but they are still wave makers. They're just designed to be pushed more straight than to be dispersed outwards, I guess. Right, so this runs at 800, and one of these two, like this one's running right now, one of these two will always be running also, and they also run at 800 gallons per hour. So that means there's 1,600 gallons per hour turnover rate in here. So that only took 2 pumps, and not even 2 big pumps, because these are relatively small. Like the 800 gallon per hour cost me maybe 15 bucks. I think that cost me also 15 bucks, and the smaller one, there's a 500 down there, which cost me maybe 10 bucks. They're all Sun wave maker, eBay, but they work. Like this one fell apart, yeah, the zip tie, but hey, it's still working. So basically, it turns the water around 1,600 times all the time. And basically, the reason why that is because when you have corals in there, or even just in general your rock, you don't want no areas that are static or not really moving. You want the water to be really moving. That's one reason why this coral is probably doing so well. He's like, it's pretty damn straight in here. I likes it. Alright. So basically, what makes these intertwine, and it's really cool, is this pulse maker. I don't know if we talked about it already, but yeah, it's this. So basically, it runs it every 6 minutes, and then turns off pump 1, and then turns on pump 2 for 6 minutes. And then 6 minutes later turns pump 2 off and runs pump 1 again for 6 minutes, and then it's back and forth. And the reason why that is because when you're working, or when you're in the ocean, you know, you might have one wave, one current like come in one way, and then, you know, later on you have a different current coming in a different way. So basically, you always, it's going to switch up the way the current comes. So 6 minutes the current is coming like, and then 6 minutes current comes, and that's also good because, like, say you just had these pumps running, it's still 1,600 times turnover rate, but they're always running 24/7. So eventually the water will find a path like this and like this, and then eventually back here somewhere there will be a buildup of waste or something. But because this pump turns on and runs, and then after 6 minutes it turns off, and this pump turns on and runs for 6 minutes, it changes the whole current, and whatever got built up over here is now getting pushed over here. So it's always constantly moving the water around. It's beautiful. Alrighty. So I know we talked about the overflow box and everything, but overflow box is going to go in the place where this is, and this is going to hang on the back of the swamp. And basically it's going to go down here, and it's going to have a sheet of glass where it's going to be 22 inches long, because that's how long it is from here to there, and it's going to be 15 inches tall. And basically it's just going to sit right here on the back. All this wiring and everything, I'm thinking about actually building into a separate box on the side of it, where my clean RO freshwater will be sitting, and I'm going to have a auto top off system that's going to help keep the salinity right where it is, because when you're working with a reef tank with corals and stuff, you definitely want to make sure your salinity stays pretty stable and not fluctuating all over the place. So yeah, I'm going to build I have a friend cutting me a piece of glass which is going to go across here, and then another sheet of glass the same dimensions which is going to go across here. Right, because plexiglass, I would have to buy a pretty good one so it doesn't flex out. So I'm just going to use glass, and then we'll use plexiglass for the wood, because it's, you know, wood. So I'm just going to put a piece of plexiglass there, and on the floor, and there, and then we're going to build a swamp in here. And it's going to be a refugium swamp, and I already have a really cool light, which is right here. It's really made for you know, growing corals and whatnot. So hopefully this will really grow my refugium. I'm having a hard time getting it out. 1 minute. So just like my community tank, there's a plant growing light on it, but it's really high in like reds and whites and stuff like this one, like that. But this one has really high in violets and blues and stuff like that, so it's going to be more for coral growth. And the one on the community tank is only 12 volts. This one is like 56 volts. So it's going to be a bad big boy. And this is going to hang right up in here. And yeah, it's a LED light bulb. Really nice and fancy looking. I like it a lot. Got some rock for it already, about 10-15 pounds here, maybe more, maybe 20 pounds. It's pretty heavy rock. Can you believe it? This little tiny piece of rock, it's flat. It's a really tiny piece. This rock right there weighs exactly 0.8 pounds. So that's a pretty heavy, or a pretty, you know, that's a pound basically. That's how tiny that rock is. So you can imagine that's probably a good 10-15 pounds. And yeah, so that will all be built in. All this stuff and wiring will be built into a separate box, I think. And hell yeah, give me 1 second, I'm gonna put the light back real quick. Alrighty, so let's talk about the swamp real quick. So you know what's inside the display, you really want it to be really current, a lot of current going on. But when the water falls into the swamp and you got a pump pumping the water back, the turnover rate for the swamp to the main display should be only 5 times. So since this is a 40-gallon tank, and the swamp will probably, because it's going to be pretty big, it's going to be probably a good 20-30 gallons, but let's just make the math easy right now. It's going to be 60 gallons in total, so it's only going to need a roughly 300-gallon turnover rate, so it's not going to be a very big pump, so it's going to look pretty clean. I'm probably going to get a 400 adjustable per 400 gallon per hour adjustable pump where I can adjust the flow if it is too strong. And then all these wires going to be sitting on the back. Get something to make this a little bit stronger, but it's on there pretty dang good. But that light is kind of heavy. Yeah. So the swamp is going to be a refugium. That's why the bright light there, and you know, I'm going to have algae and all the special type of consuming of nitrate things in this swamp. I need to get the right names so I don't say wrong names, but I will get some proper names in the future videos. So yep, tank's been running for about 3 months now. For the past 2-3 weeks I finally got some light for it and put the lights on it. My very first coil on my very first established live rock. My second established rock was a shrimp on top. And then we have a hermit crab cleanup crew. We have emerald crabs too, but I probably won't find him. So as you can tell, this pump is off now. And this pump is fine. So that's all this what you want. You always want different motions. I got some different shells for the hermit crabs in case they feel like getting bigger. Another hermit crab. Oh, there's an emerald crab right there. There he is. Really hard to see. I'm zoomed all the way into. He's in the crack. And then my very first coil. Alright. So we covered about putting the rock on the glass, about pound per gallon, substrate, pound per gallon, flow rate is in the display, flow rate return for the swamp. Talked about lights. Now always remember there is a difference between freshwater lights and saltwater lights. Freshwater lights are going to be more heavy in whites and reds and stuff like this, and saltwater is going to be more heavy in violets and blues and stuff like that. Just a different spectrum of lights. Protein skimmer is very awesome to have because it really takes out the proteins from the water. It gets all the gunk out. Basically, air bubbles within the salt water is very, very tiny, so proteins actually stick to it. So protein skimmer actually gets out all the proteins from using air bubbles and it goes in here. Yeah. Alright YouTube, I wish everybody an awesome night and y'all be good. Laters.